From the Pistons winning a championship against the Lakers in 2004 to the Warriors winning championships back-to-back, let's check out some of the biggest underdogs to win an NBA championship. First off, we have the Toronto Raptors. Several people like to say that the only reason the Raptors won was because of injuries or the other team's lack of players. But no one seems to acknowledge that they got through all the other teams perfectly before coming to the finals. What makes this so impressive is that they went against the Warriors, who had been winning championships back-to-back. They even opened the season looking a lot like they were going to win the championship this time too, but thanks to Kevin Durant missing out 10 minutes of Game 5 and Klay Thompson's injury in the next game, the Raptors were more likely to win the championship. And so they did. But even if you say they got lucky with the circumstances, you can't ignore that they edged Philadelphia in the second round of Game 7.
You got to be aware of the inbounder here if you're Philly.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
Or the way they won against the Bucks or any other team leading up to the Warriors finale. Leonard carried the team perfectly and led them to victory, making them win their first major sports championship in the 2018-19 season after they did way back in 1993. But if you think that was impressive, wait till I tell you about this next team. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, I know some of you might not even consider the Cavaliers an underdog after the way they swept past the Pistons and the Hawks, or due to their 57-25 record, or even the way they took out the Raptors in 6 whole games in the Eastern Conference Finals. But let's not forget that when it comes to the Warriors, they are the weaker party. They won a championship back in 2016, and it was one of the most iconic examples of an underdog winning an NBA championship. The Warriors were having one of their best regular seasons of 2015-2016, with an even better record in the history of the NBA, getting to the finals. All they needed was to get a lead over the Cavaliers to take the final step toward winning yet another championship, but that wasn't going to happen. Not in this season, at least. Many people thought it was going to be easy since Cleveland was no match for the Warriors, and especially given the fact that the Warriors hadn't lost 3 games in a row all season long. But then, thanks to James averaging 36.3 points, 11.7 rebounds, and 9.7 assists, the Cavaliers were pushed to victory. They won all 3 games and ultimately won their first ever NBA championship too.
Shumpert trying to stay with Curry, catches one dribble, steps back, puts up a 3, won't go, rebound tip taken by Spades, final seconds, it's over, it's over! Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Just like this next team. I'm referring to the Golden State Warriors. Okay, I know we've talked about the Warriors a lot and talked about them like they were some indestructible entity, but that was after their 2014-2015 season. Before this, they were still an underdog. This season was the birth of a dynasty that would forever change the way people looked at the Warriors. In the previous season of 2013-14, the team was doing fairly well. Not too shabby, but nothing too impressive either. Despite how they faced the Clippers, which was impressive, no one would have considered them to win the coming championship. It was just an assumption that if you made it, people would laugh in your face, and that was all because the team had lost LeBron to Cleveland recently, making the team go from 100 to 0 real quick in the eyes of fans. Cleveland started the season looking like the winner, and people had their hopes high for the team, but it was all going to come crashing down when they lost 6 games in the finals to the Warriors. Golden State proved that even without their star player, they were still just as strong as they were before they lost LeBron. They won the championship that season and then went on to win a lot more in the coming seasons. As the title suggests, favorites for the next 4 seasons. Speaking of James being on the losing team to an underdog, that's exactly what happened in the next one too. It's the Dallas Mavericks. Back in the 2010-11 season, the Miami Heat had their superstar trio of James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Now, with these 3 on the team, everyone was expecting the Heat to win. They started their year a little slow with a 9-8 record, but by the end, they had a pretty solid record of 58-24. They even went 12-3 in the Eastern Conference Championship, getting the Sixers, Celtics, and Bulls out of the way like it was a piece of cake. Seeing this intensity in their game made it clear that the Mavericks were were no match for them in the finals, and that meant that people were really looking forward to James finally having a breakthrough and winning his first championship. The Heat took a lead on the Mavericks, making it obvious once again that they were going to win. But then, thanks to Nowitzki, after he scored 23.7 points and grabbed 9.3 rebounds, the Mavericks won their last 3 games of the series. This not only made them win, but also knocked the Heat out of the finals. Pun intended. Still, Jason Terry, who also had a huge part in his team's victory, he scored 21.7 points and shot 58.1% from the field in the final 3 games of the series. But before you feel bad for the Miami Heat, remember that they were also once an underdog, and yep, they won a championship too. I'm talking about that one fateful day in 2006. In case you've forgotten, before they made it to the NBA Finals in the 2010-11 season, they were finalists back in the 2005-06 season too. And unlike the 2010 season, they were an actual underdog back in 2005. They had O'Neal and Wade on their team, which made it so much easier for them to win the championship. They made it into the playoffs with a record of 52-30, which was good, but it wasn't good enough to make anyone think that they were going to win the championship. Being the second best team in the Eastern Conference, just ahead of the Pistons, who people originally thought were going to win the championship this time. They struggled a bit at the start, but then they went on to win 6 games in a row, but this didn't change how people thought of them. But then they went on to take down New Jersey, which made people think that they really had potential to win the championship, and they were right. The Heat then beat the Pistons before facing the Mavericks in the finals. Although it was obviously hard, but they managed to win the championship against the Mavs, making this victory one of the biggest upsets in the NBA and probably the biggest underdog to win a championship too. But I might have a team that might be able to top their record in that. It's the Detroit Pistons. Back in 2004, they were nowhere near as big as they are now. They came into the postseason as the number 3 seed and finished in second place in the Central Division with a normal record of 54-20. But somehow they made it into the 2003-04 NBA Finals. Although they had worked hard to get there, people still didn't see them walking away as the winners of the championship. What made it worse was that they were going against the Lakers in the finals. The good thing was that the Lakers weren't doing so well. Other than having injured players, the players they had didn't perform all that well either. This gave the Pistons a huge advantage, and they ended up winning the championship in just 5 games. This made for one of the most shocking NBA championship wins of all time, and that was all about some of the biggest underdogs to ever win NBA championships.